No. Come here. Go to the window and look out. Fine. Hey guys, it's Hannah, and today I am doing my February wrap-up and March TBR. You probably won't be seeing this for a while. Today is March 6th. I am frantically getting ready for everything spring break related, and also school is a bit insane right now. So I don't know when this will be going up, but it will be going up eventually. In February, I read 3 books, and I will be honest, when I sat down to look at the books I'd read on GOODREADS, I'd forgotten about one. And that's the first one. And that's Mother's Day Mayhem by Lynn Cahoon. This is the Tourist Trap Mystery Series book 6.5. So I read 6, and this is like a little novella designed to be in between 6 and 7. And I, to be honest, forgot that I read it. I know that I enjoyed it when I read it, and when I sat and tried to think about it and remembered what happened, I did enjoy it. But it was apparently a very forgettable novella. The Tourist Trap series, however, is a cozy mystery series by Lynn Cahoon, and it is fantastic. It centers around this girl named Jill Gardner, and she owns this coffee and bookshop combo in this small Californian town, and she has a cop boyfriend. She has a very funny aunt, not funny in a humorous way, funny in a oh that'd be annoying kind of way. And she goes around helping her boyfriend solve mysteries. He doesn't want her to help him solve mysteries, but she does it anyway because she's a very nosy person. And they're just a really great cozy mystery. If you need something to just kind of relieve stress, I highly recommend this series because it's just a good time. And that's it. I will say, if you remember, I was reading a bunch of them at once, and that did kind of burn me out because they can be very similar. They can be a little bit cookie cutter, but they're all good. Despite that, they're all fantastic books, and I have loved every single one of them. So, highly recommend this series. I know that I liked this one. I remember liking it, but I did forget that I had read it. But I have read a lot of those. So they get mixed up, and there's a lot of little short novellas, and they get mixed up in my head. Good book. Don't hold the fact that I forgot about it against it. Plus, that was just a novella. One thing I do remember is that I liked the personal story aspect of this one more than I liked the mystery aspect of this one. The mystery kind of fell short for me, but the personal struggles that were happening I found very entertaining. The next book I read was Emma by Alexander McCall Smith. This is part of the Austen Project, where modern authors are rewriting Jane Austen's books to be set in modern day. At least that's how I understood it. And I really enjoyed this book. I read it when I went to Puerto Rico at the beginning-ish of February. Very nice beach read. But I will say that it wasn't a favorite because it really relied on your knowledge of the original book. If you came into this book not having read Emma by Jane Austen, then I think you'd be very confused, which I didn't think about until I saw someone in a review mention it on GOODREADS. And I was like, oh, you're right. Because I have read Emma, so when I was reading it, I knew everything that was gonna happen. I had an idea of what he was probably going to do. So I didn't pick up, really, that he wasn't explaining anything. And then when I saw that review, I kind of went back and looked at it a bit. And there are a lot of times when he doesn't explain something thoroughly. And then it didn't bother me because I read the original, but if you haven't read the original, you'd probably be pretty lost. Also, can I just say there were like no interactions between certain groups and couples that I feel like should have been there. And again, I guess that also goes back to relying on the original text and the reader just knowing that, oh, these people go together because these people go together in Austen's work. But I feel like he could have done a better job of showcasing that in his work. So it was kind of a realization after the fact, but during reading, it was just an enjoyable ride. It was very interesting to see what he was doing with it. There were some things that I was like, what? What's that? But for the most part, I thought it was just a really good adaptation. Do know that I would not read this before Emma by Jane Austen. Definitely read the original first. But I enjoyed the book. I thought it was very true to the original, but it also did its own thing. And I thought it did a good job of kind of bringing it into modern day. Although I will say, there were some times where I couldn't tell what time period we were supposed to be in because someone would say something that sounded very old-fashioned and then they'd have like email. And so I was a little bit confused at points as to when exactly in the timeline of life we were, if that makes sense. It didn't really bother me, but it did make me it made me wonder, because I never read synopsises before I look in books. So I don't know if that said it anywhere. I guess I should look. But as far as I'm aware, I have no clue what time this book is set in, but I know it's more modern than Jane Austen's, and I think it did a good job of bringing it into whatever modern time that was. So good, but not great, and definitely don't read it before you read the original because I think you would be lost. The final book I read in February was Conviction by Denise Mina. I actually have a whole video surrounding this book because I took this out from the library. It took me a really long time to read it because February was crazy, and I ended up reading it the day before it was due back to the library, and I couldn't renew it because there was someone else in line or I'd already renewed it or something. One of those kinds of things. So there's a whole video that you can check out down below. But I will say, this is a mystery thriller about this girl named Anna, and she's listening to this podcast. And we learn that she has kind of like she's in her second life, and she had a past life that she's been hiding from everyone. And she listens to this podcast and she discovers a man she knew in that past life is dead. And this podcast is centered around discussing his death because there's a whole mystery around it. And then her husband says he's leaving her, and her face ends up on social media. She comes back into the limelight. She ends up on this unwilling road trip with someone else who also got cheated on. The road trip is them trying to figure out what really happened to her old friend Leon. This book was fantastic. And I don't read a whole lot of mystery thrillers, but this is kind of pushing me towards that genre because this was such a good book. It was gripping, but also the way it was written. Dusty. No. No. Come here. Go to the window and look out. Fine. Anyway, it's written as if Anna is recounting the events after they've happened. And it also has the podcast, like her listening to the podcast kind of interspersed throughout in the beginning. So it's written in a very journalistic way and almost like a non-fiction way. And I loved that because it made it feel a little bit more real, even though sometimes something would happen that was a bit far-fetched. But the way it was written made you feel like you were reading someone's non-fiction account about something that had happened and not a work of fiction. So that was really good. The plot was really good. It was just such an interesting read. It would get slower at some points, but I didn't mind that because I love that journalistic style of writing, so it kind of like catered to me for that. And I just absolutely adored this book. It was super, super good, and I highly recommend it to everybody, especially with podcasts being the whole big new thing. Definitely recommend. As for March TBR, I don't know what I'm going to take with me on spring break. I'm kind of thinking the Three Dark Rounds book because I need to get to that one read. Maybe I'll grab something else that's smaller because it's kind of a big book and we're going camping, so I don't have a very big bag. But we shall see. Other than that, I can't tell you. I don't know. I'll look at this bookshelf or I'll look at the library and I'll find something and you'll find out about it at my next wrap up. And that's just how this is going to work this month and kind of every month. That's it for this video. Comment down below, let me know if there is a mystery thriller book that, if you have read Convictions, is similar to Conviction in like tone and writing style. Let me know down below because I want to check it out. Also comment down below and let me know what you read in February and what your reading plans are for March and all that usual sort of thing. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I will see y'all again in another one soon.